Welcome to Lanterns Live. I'm Ralph. This is the only live stream YouTube channel dedicated solely to Green Lantern. I won't talk about anything else unless a guest asks me to. So we'll see how that goes. Because today we do have a guest, I'm very excited to introduce the writer of Green Lantern Corps, Mr. Morgan Hampton. How you doing?
Hello. Good afternoon.
Man, I'm so excited because I don't know how much of the show you watch, but I do monthly live streams with my friend Vactor, and we chat about Green Lantern Corps and absolutely adore it. Like, we love Green Lantern Corps. You were on the book for a while with Jeremy Adams, and I'm curious to know, like, before we get to anything, I don't know. It looks like one of us is frozen, and I hope it's not me.
I don't know what happened. Can you see me?
I can see you.
Literally 2 seconds in and got froze. That's crazy.
Right. Hunter Iggy is in the chat. Hunter, yeah. If Hunter, if someone goes frozen, let us know which one of us. Will from Lanterns Podcast is here too. Let us know which one of us is frozen so I can cool. Fix it. So before we get to anything, I asked this of all of my first time guests: what is your secret origins with the characters of Green Lantern? When's the first time you were aware of Green Lantern in general?
Yeah, I mean, I used to peel through the long boxes when I was a kid. I wasn't reading back then, but I just liked the imagery of the comics, so I would pick up anything that was interesting. So I think I knew just the concept of a Green Lantern from a very early age of 5 or 6, but I really came into it the lore, the mythology of the greater DC universe with the Justice League animated TV show that came out around the time I was in elementary school, and then the Teen Titans as well. But specifically for Green Lantern, John Stewart on that show, that was really my introduction to that's what this is, and he was dope.
That's awesome. I saw you. You were part of, or you were at the event, the unveiling of the John Stewart statue over in Burbank. What was that day like? I wish I knew it was happening. I would have been there for sure. I knew it was happening.
They only told me maybe 2 days before. They were like, hey, do you want to come do this? Because at the time, Jeremy and I had maybe been working on Green Lantern Corps for a month, but the news wasn't out yet. So I couldn't talk about it. And they were like, do you want to come to this thing? And I'm like, yeah, but the people are going to be asking questions why is he there? All the other, Philip Kennedy Johnson, Jeremy Adams, anyone who's affiliated with Green Lantern is there, and then it's just me.
Right.
But that was a lot of fun. Again, because I didn't even know they were having a statue for Green Lantern in Burbank, let alone that I was going to be invited. So that was a really cool kind of couple-day turnaround to show up for that. Have you been since they unveiled it?
Oh yeah. I got to go a couple months ago.
Yeah, that thing is massive. And it's done by Jamal Campbell, did the key art for it. They expanded to make it 3-dimensional. It was so cool, pinch me moment, that I got to go there and be a part of that.
Yeah, that's so awesome. I wish I lived a little bit closer. I'm down in Anaheim, but anytime I'm driving by, when I'm on the 5 driving by the freeway, it's I kind of want to stop by and just. I mean, the only thing you can really do is look at it and take pictures of it. I wish. I mean,
that's cool too. I mean, why not? Yeah. Do you know about how in general Burbank is kind of the place for DC statues? They have a Batman and a Wonder Woman as well.
Yeah, I've heard about it. I haven't visited either of those. Okay. It's not that I'm not a fan of those characters. Because when I first started reading Green Lantern in 1990, I picked up a Batman and a Green Lantern off a spinner rack at a drugstore on a family road trip. But I was already a fan of Green Lantern by then, because for me, when I was growing up, I'm a bit older than you are. I was watching Super Friends, and Hal was on that show, and so reading that first issue introduced me to Guy and John.
Got you.
But no, why Burbank? Why is Burbank the home of?
That's a good question. I think it's because DC
is DC located
in
there?
Burbank. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's probably the easiest answer.
Yeah, and I think the
Yeah,
placard
the
underneath.
studios are there. Yeah,
Yeah, I think the placard underneath the statue, the Green Lantern statue of John Stewart, says something like made in part by the beautification of Burbank or something. It sounds like it's a thing, but I think it's wild that there's a Batman, a Wonder Woman, and the next one they go to is John Stewart.
Yeah,
like not Superman, but there's probably one in like Cleveland or something. I don't know.
Probably
but
actually
I mean, anything.
Yeah. But no, that's a valid point.
Like Green Lantern to me, like growing up, always seemed to be sort of a lower tier character. It's just not as well known. Lantern says, trying to ride that Aaron Pierre wave. Like, yeah, because I think it happened around the time he was introduced and stuff.
It did. Yeah.
By the way, what do you think of that? Well, like last week we saw our first 12 seconds of footage. I woke up right here because I'm in my bedroom. I woke up at like 5 a.m. just because I couldn't sleep, and I kind of had a hunch that the footage was coming.
Yeah.
And I turned on my phone and I'm like, oh crap, like I need to go live right now. So I woke up the cats, I woke up my wife, and I'm like, I'm so sorry. I understand that it's 5:15 and you have to go to work at 8, but I really want to talk about Green Lantern. What'd you think of that footage?
That was exciting. It looked great. You know, of course I wanted to see some constructs or a suit or whatever, but like it was cool to see a ring.
Yeah.
And it was cool, I think, in those really quick 12 seconds or whatever we got, like we got the dynamic right off the jump too of the two characters and how they're going to bounce off of each other. I think that's the most important thing. And I think that nailed it.
A lot of fans have issues with Kyle Chandler's age and being Hal Jordan. But again, when I read Green Lantern in 1990, I was introduced to Hal as he had gray hair. He was kind of done with being a Green Lantern. And and for me, I'm totally cool with Kyle Chandler. And I thought in that 12 seconds, I was like, I mean, I'm looking at Hal Jordan. Like once did my mind think, oh, that's Kyle Chandler. Like I'm like, when he jumps out of that car, that's such a Hal maneuver. And to just leave John in that car with that ring sitting there, like
he's like, oh, you're not going to use it? All right, we'll see.
Yeah, it's so good. As a Green Lantern writer, I don't know what you've seen as far as the show Lanterns go. If you've just seen that,
0. I've seen nothing. Okay, yeah.
So this is all like just from a writer's perspective. Someone handed you that scene. The car's going over the cliff. As a writer, what's the next couple 20 seconds like?
Man, yeah, I definitely Hal is going to be standing there, absolutely sure that John, like, he's not even going to be faced. He's going to have his arms crossed, like, I told you so. And of course, like, I think John's going to wait probably a second too long. But he's going to put the ring on because otherwise he's going to be dead. I think what's interesting about the dynamic, and this goes back to like the first iteration where they first met in like, what was that, 77, with Neil Adams and Denny O'Neil doing the short with them, is like, you know, Hal is that hothead who kind of he's the Indiana Jones, the Han Solo that plays by his own rules or whatever, and John is a very rigid, I'm doing everything that I'm supposed to do by the book, and to be forced to kind of come out of your shell is very interesting to see John be put in that situation. So yeah, the next 20 seconds are you're gonna hear the car hit the ground. You're not gonna see it, and you're gonna be seeing Hal get up and dust himself off, but he's not gonna look phased. He's gonna be like, you know, that's what I'm, you know, he's going to be like, I should be training these Lanterns, not Kilowog, right? Like, I know what I'm doing. And then it's just going to be John floating up with like a pissed look on his face. Like, how dare you?
It's funny because we had that one official image of them two walking down the road, which means the car's done. We know the car is done.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I
it
didn't
looks
think about
like it's
that.
post. Yeah, it looks like after that scene. So I was thinking, and I'm not a writer here, but like we see the car hit, impact, crash, flames, explosions, and as the flames dissipate, a perfect bubble with John standing in it.
You see John.
I don't. Yeah, because I don't. Some people are like, "Oh, we'll see him fly out of the car," or we'll see him make, like, people were like, he's gonna make a baseball glove. He's gonna make a mitt to catch the car. But I'm like, no, that car's done, because that picture that they sent in Vanity Fair in February, it looks like John gave the ring back to Hal and is very, very pissed.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've studied that image since February, like the last 10 months. It's the only thing we've had. I did for the day it dropped. I think I did a 40-minute episode just talking about that one image.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so you're a fan of John growing up. When did you start getting into the books? Did you have to do like a crazy like deep dive and like marathon read when you got the job to work on Core? What's your story as far as like getting into the lore more with the comics?
I have always been a very huge comic book fan. And weirdly enough, luckily enough, I've always been a bigger DC fan than a Marvel fan. So I got really into reading comic books consistently, like middle school, high school. So around that time was when, for Green Lantern context, was like when Jeff Johns' run was starting. Okay. Green Lantern Rebirth, when Hal was coming back. And then, leading into like Blackest Night and all that type of stuff. So I was reading all that stuff in real time. And so, yeah, when it came to me getting the gig, fast forward 18 years or whatever, I didn't have too much to catch up on, because like as a writer, because I've been in the game now a couple years, it's already hard to keep up with everything just as a regular consumer. But when you start writing, it's so hard to read everything that's coming out. So like when I started writing Cyborg and I did a Star Trek book a year after that, like I was a little bit behind on the current stuff. So when I got the call to do Core with Jeremy, I was like, oh yeah, I need to read Jeremy's run, because I hadn't read it yet. But it was like at that time maybe 15 issues in. So that was really the most homework I had done. I had read Philip Kennedy Johnson's War Journal. Right. And I had read Jeffrey Thorne's run from a couple of years prior, so I was pretty much caught up. It was just Jeremy's stuff.
Yeah. So I'm not caught up. Like, I don't know if I said this on the show before, but like Jeffrey Thorne's run, it just wasn't vibing with me. And I tried to go back and I like in the last couple of weeks, tried to like go and do a quick like crash course and read up on it, and I just fell off again. It's just been it's been a crazy hectic month. But for me, like I'm 48 years old. I'm pushing 49. I'm an old crotchety guy. When I first saw like the solicits with like Teen Lantern, I was like, I don't know. And I'm not one of those fans. I'm not one of those fans that complains that there's too many Earth Lanterns. Like the introduction of Joe and Far Sector. Like Far Sector, I just reread for the first time. Like it's probably one of the best Green Lantern stories out there. I love Far Sector, top to bottom, writing to art, to even like layouts with the lettering and stuff. Like I love Far Sector. So it's not one of those things where I'm like not a fan of too many lanterns from Earth. And I think what Jeremy did with explaining why there's so many lanterns from Earth and having that sort of the backup power batteries on Earth and stuff, I thought was really brilliant. But for me, I'm like, I don't really care about Ellie, and I don't care about Callie. So that's me being a grumpy old man, and I'm just like, get these kids out of my funny books. And it didn't make any sense. But the thing is, I've been enjoying Jeremy's run. I've been enjoying your run on both Green Lantern and Green Lantern Core. You guys have found a way to not just like kill off those characters and like set them aside, but give them like real like purpose and actually make it interesting to the point where like I'm really close to becoming like just a fan of those characters.
We're doing our job.
So Vactor, who does the Green Lantern Corps episodes with me, had a question for you, and it's what is it like, and what's your priority as far as juggling all these characters?
Yeah, it's absolutely insane for one, especially now that it's just me on the book. Because for context, for people watching, like me and Jeremy were co-writing for 9 issues. And we found a good groove as we were doing that. And since I've taken over, it's just me. And it's still, I can handle it. But like, there are so many characters in this book. And I'm sure as a fan, everybody's got their favorite and everybody wants their favorite to have the spotlight. And it's like, that's an incredible burden to have in my position. But at the same time,
I'm a Kyle dude. And I don't think you showed up in the last issue of Green Lantern or Green Lantern Corps.
Yeah,
but it's how many are there? How many lanterns are you dealing with?
Specifically, Earth Green Lanterns. There's 7. But then there's the alien green, because we're all on Oa now, right? Then there's all the alien ones that people know and love. Me and Jeremy messed around and made a new alien lantern, Vexaru, in issue 1 of Green Lantern Corps. So now she's there. We made Narf too, so now he's there. And we brought Aya in. It's so many, and now we've got all the different. The emotional spectrum is all on Oa. So now it's not just the Green Lanterns. We've got the Red Lanterns and the Blue Lanterns and the Indigo Tribe and the Yellow. It's so many characters.
So how many pages do you get to write per issue? Yeah. And again, how do you prioritize?
Yeah. One, not enough. We get 20 pages. And something me and Jeremy did, we figured out around issue 4 is we started doing an A plot and a B plot. And we found that allowed us to service more characters and give more characters a little bit of a spotlight, and go back to what you were saying, put them through a journey where they can kind of grow so people can kind of resonate with them. And that, I think, has served the book really well. So we have 20 pages, and usually what that boils down to, and this goes back to TV as well, because TV does usually an A story and a B story for a half-hour show, or if it's an hour show, they'll have a B, C, maybe even a D plot. Your A plot has the most attention. So let's say the A plot will be 12 pages. Then the B plot will be 8. So you're still leaning one, favoring one a little bit more than the other, but you're bouncing back and forth too. And then that lets you do this thing again. I'm giving you some insider baseball writer speak, but it allows you to do this thing that we call come in late and leave early to a scene. So you come into a scene that's kind of already at the precipice of what it's going to be, what the climactic moment is, because you don't need all the fluff, especially because you don't have room for it because you've only got 20 pages. And then you leave early, and then you can have something happen between when you went to that other scene and now you've come back, and now someone has thrown a punch, and now we're in the middle of a fight, so we don't need to set up things as much, which is kind of fun. So yeah, that's kind of a long-winded way of answering your question. Of that's how we try to balance it. But there's a little bit more math involved than I thought when I first got into this gig.
Right. So last week was the release of Green Lantern Corps number 11. Mm-hmm. What number are you currently writing? What's of Green Lantern Corps? How far ahead are you?
Yeah, I don't have a deadline to turn it in yet because things get a little lax around the holidays, but the next script I'm turning in is 15, sometime early to mid next month. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. So about
okay. So speaking of Razor and Aya, were you a fan of Green Lantern Corps or Green Lantern the animated series when that came out?
I was, yeah.
You watched that
and
live?
We only got one season of that, right? I was so upset when they canceled that show.
26 episodes, yeah.
Big fan.
A major bummer. So I know Jeremy worked on that show. He did a couple of episodes that he wrote on.
Yeah.
And Okay, bringing them into the book. I don't know if all those people that were crying at Cartoon Network to save Green Lantern the animated series, I don't know if they're reading the book now because of what you guys have done and brought in Razor and Aya. But it's been a long time coming for them to get together. Like 14 years, probably close to coming up on 15. And in the book, I think it was Green Lantern 27, I'm not sure, where they actually finally come face to face again. And they're going in for the kiss, and there's an explosion, and all hell breaks loose, and we don't get that resolved. Last week, Green Lantern Corps number 11. We have a panel where they're kissing.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. Some of the panels before that are Aya creating a construct twin.
Yes, yeah, energy twin.
And the twin is heading towards Razor because she is trying to conjure up what her soul is, and apparently that is tied to Razor, and their twin goes directly to Razor. Now, the panel where they kiss doesn't look like the rest of the comic book panels. It has like a red border around it, and it appears that maybe in real life, quote unquote, they didn't kiss. It's just the twin and Aya, and maybe the kiss itself is from Aya's point of view, because it looks more like a it's not the regular white border comic panels. It's these red ones.
Yeah.
So can you say, have they kissed or not kissed?
You can hate my answer. I think it's a matter of perspective.
You know what?
I would say yes. But I guess if you're talking two physical beings in each other's face kissing traditionally, I guess maybe the answer is no. But it's you want to get philosophical about it. What is a kiss? What is a soul? Right? I think that moment, whether it was a physical kiss or not, it was definitely a soul-tied connection between the two characters that we can now say is canon.
So here's the thing. Green Lantern's podcast says it still counts in his heart. For me, like, I kind of like that they didn't actually physically do it, because back in the day on Tumblr, you would see countless fan art of them kissing. And I think the white hair version of Razor came from Tumblr, and Giancarlo Volpe, when he did his Young Justice cartoon, incorporated that white hair into the character design. But it's been forever since we've been waiting for that kiss, and I think it's kind of funny. It was funny in Green Lantern, I think it was 27, where they first come face to face, where they didn't get the kiss. I was like, man, fans have been waiting so long, and it was like the seeds were planted since Green Lantern number 4, where Razor showed up. And we've been waiting a couple of years for this to actually happen, and then it didn't. And then last week, it appears to have, but I kind of like it's like, no, you're still stringing everybody along.
That's just, that's a TV trope too. Like, if you look at all the famous sitcoms, like when when the protagonist has a crush, or there's just palpable tension between the protagonist and the other character, they never put them together until season 8, and then it's everyone realized, actually, we don't like this. We like the tension, we don't like actually them being together thing.
right. The Pam and Jim.
Yeah, exactly.
So you mentioned Narf, and I always forget the other one that you created. Bexaru. I need to get that in my head. I need to say it 30 times in a row so that I remember it. Are there any Green Lantern characters that you would like to create? Are there any that you have coming up, or any that you were super proud of? You said you created those with Jeremy, right? Yeah. Those two. Yes. Are there any that you are I have an idea for one, I'm juggling all these other lanterns.
Yeah.
That's the problem. Is there
I've got a bunch
is there someone you want to put in?
I've got a bunch of ideas, but I would be shooting myself in the foot to create somebody new currently.
Right.
I think what I'll say to answer that in a really roundabout way, that character was Ellie for me. I didn't create Ellie, but coming out of Philip Kennedy Johnson's run, that's where she kind of originated, or this version of her being a construct. I had this idea before I got this gig, before I even knew it was coming. When I knew I wanted to reach out to Paul Kaminsky, who's the group editor on this book, I had this idea of a sentient construct. And actually, you know what? I hadn't read Philip Kennedy Johnson's run yet. So like this was happening around the same time that book was coming out. But I was like, wouldn't it be cool if a sentient Green Lantern construct got a Blue Lantern ring? This was like an idea I had like a year and a half ago. And I was like, that's never been done before. I think that would be some really cool stuff. Let me put this pitch together and send it to Paul. Then I ended up finishing Philip Kennedy Johnson's run. And I was like, oh, there's already a sentient construct. It's Ellie. And that's also a really weird and interesting character thing going on with John. And it just, what ended up happening is when we were doing the Starbreaker Supremacy, me and Jeremy, and by the end of it, when all of the emotional spectrum came back, it just kind of, it was an organic opportunity that presented itself that we can give Ellie a Blue Lantern ring. And at the time, I hadn't thought about that idea in like a year. When we were writing that issue, I was like, wait, yeah, because we had to fill out all the different cores now. I was like, Ellie should get a ring. Because I think my thing with Ellie is, and as you saw this a little bit in 11, is she was created under some very, let's say, interesting circumstances.
Yeah.
From John making a very questionable decision. And the thing is, like, it's happened now. How do we deal with it? How do we reconcile with it? How does she feel about herself? That type of stuff is very interesting to me. So she's become one of my favorite characters to write because she has got such an interesting journey of self-discovery. And step one of that process was her getting that ring. Step two of that process was in the last issue where she kind of like remanifested herself now and has now gotten acceptance from John. So like, yeah, like I said, I didn't create Ellie, but like I feel a lot of like ownership over her and her development.
So one of the reasons why I wasn't a fan of Ellie was just the idea of a living construct that's no longer tied to like John's will. I thought was like, man, that's really, really weird. I guess you could say the same about Glomulus. I know Lantern's Will's in here talking about getting more Larfleeze. And
issue 12,
Glomulus kind of feels like their own sentient thing.
Yeah.
But I'm going to tell you, like, and I'm pretty sure I mentioned this on last week's show, putting her as a Blue Lantern, a Green Lantern construct as a Blue Lantern, and then sort of befriending Mogo.
Yeah.
Really got me hyped for the character. I really liked War Journal. I read it recently. I was gifted the first trade from. Oh man, this thing's in the way. Out here. I was gifted it from. I was over at Bad Robot doing my documentary, and they were doing the Batman animated series that they were working on. Gave me a copy of War Journal, the first trade, and I read it, and I was like, this is all right. And then finally, like a year ago, I got like the second one. Second trade, and I didn't read it until like maybe a month or two ago, and then I really liked the second. I really like ramped up, but I still wasn't super keen on Ellie as a concept.
Yeah,
like it's just too much. It's too much to inject into lore, and how many of these are we gonna have running around now? Because like, what if Guy does that? You know, who would Guy create? Like, would he create ice? Like, what is Guy like? I'm just like, this is too much. But I'm telling you, last week, a couple issues ago, you had her in the blue, but last week with her interacting with Mogo, really had me intrigued. I'm kind of hoping that her storyline kind of sticks, or she's tied to Mogo in some way. I'm not sure what your plan is there, but I like her sort of being in her area, and I think like there's so much about Mogo we don't know about, and it's really nice because Mogo doesn't socialize, so it's nice to see someone who interacts with Mogo. And the fact that she was kind of like healing him by creating like Stitches because she's a blue, and she has enough power as a blue to heighten Mogo's power. Like all the stuff that Jeff Johns created is amazing. The fact that there wasn't other lanterns in the spectrum before that is baffling to me. He unlocked something crazy, but then using the different how each lantern core interacts with the others. I really, really appreciated Ellie being a blue and a green. And because I don't know if there's a question in here. I don't know if there's a question in here, but like, hey, listen.
Well, I'm glad that resonated with you. I'll say.
Yeah. Now, Callie, I'm trying to get there. There was some stuff in Starbreaker Supremacy that I really liked as far as the Gauntlet goes, and with Simon and stuff like that, which I'm right there. Like, it's like, it was nice seeing her be part of an actual training group with the Green Lantern ring with Kilowog. I thought all that was great. Speaking of Simon, you have him sidelined right now because of his ordeal with the Gauntlet. And I thought you were sidelining Ellie. I thought Ellie was done for when Effigy toasted her. So I'm like, nice for getting rid of just getting rid of some of these lanterns out of the way. But I'm kind of, is it a relief, or is it? I mean, you have Simon as he's sidelined because of this event that happened in Starbreaker Supremacy. Meanwhile, Simon's over at Justice League Red, which I'm reading and I'm enjoying it very much. Does any of that stuff get in the way? Any sort of like continuity with like other books?
No, I'd say for that particular thing, no, because Guy Gardner's is in Dan Slott's Superman. What is he writing? Superman Unlimited. He popped up in an issue this week as well, and I didn't even know that was going to happen. I honestly think that stuff is fine. You know, like, it's fine to have characters pop up in other books. Like, it's their job to make it work, not mine. That's how I look at it. So it doesn't bother me too much. I think even like John popped up a bit in KO, right? And he doesn't look like the John we have right now. So that, again, somebody didn't do a job, but that's okay. So at the end of the day, yes, like when there are mandates for tie-ins, like the logistical work is kind of a lot, but yeah, like I said, it's usually that particular book's job to do that work, if that makes sense. So yeah, with him being in Justice League Red, like his arm's not in a sling, it's not messed up from wearing the gauntlet, right? So we can just say it happened before.
Figure it out. Or after.
Yeah.
So, okay. Speaking of John's look, I like the beard. The beard looks cool. I like this version of John, this one from sort of the Dark Sector. You know what I'm not a fan of? And I think you sort of inherited this, is his current outfit. I'm not the biggest fan of his current outfit. Like, do you have any thoughts? Have you thought about changing it?
Yeah, it is different. I don't hate it. I'm indifferent on it.
Right.
But I think what I do like about it, thinking about his old one, I do like that it has a little bit more green. Because I don't think his old one had green boots, did it?
No. It just had the green like gauntlets, right? And then all black. Yeah. Where's my John? He fell off the shelf. Yeah. Oh, he did have green boots, according to this. But they weren't the thigh highs. But, and then there's this. I had another question. Speaking of like designs,
this one came from War Journal, I think.
Right. Yeah, I think so. Now, I have a question about art and artists. The last couple issues you had, I think, 3 or 4 artists on each book. Yeah. Sometimes that can get jarring, but if one's doing the A story and the other's doing the B story, it's usually pretty cool. Like, I have no issues. Yeah. I've like all the artists on Green Lantern. I don't think there's anybody where I was really like, oh man, what is this doing on here? But there's something that I think is interesting, and I love V. Ken Marion's art. I think his like kind of anime style really brings a lot of energy. But I noticed that his Kyle has a Green Lantern emblem on the arms, and he's the only artist that does that. How are the editors like? Just they're not sticklers for like continuity as far as like looks go?
You froze up for me for 1 second. Which artist were we talking about? I'm sorry.
V. Ken Marion. He does the emblem, the Green Lantern emblem on Kyle's shoulders and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like the answer is like, it's not that nobody's a stickler. It's just like comics. It's every issue is lightning in a bottle. That not even that an issue is good, but the fact that it even gets out to the public to be like, uh-oh.
Yeah, breaking up
Did
a
we
little
freeze?
bit.
Can you see me?
You're good.
Can you see me?
I can see you and I can hear you.
I'll just restart. Okay. Yeah, comics just moves really fast, and especially when you add a couple different artists onto it, it's just a lot of moving parts, and sometimes like stuff like we do a lot of passes, right? Like lettering passes, art passes, and it's just sometimes stuff slips through the cracks, you know. Like we catch stuff all the time, but then as you just evidenced, like sometimes we miss things too. It's unfortunate, but like yeah,
like I think it's fine. It's just I just thought it was interesting. It's that they just let the artists do what they do. One of my favorite things is that because the Interceptor showed up in one issue of the comics or two issues of the comics flying backwards. That
yeah, I remember that. Yeah,
you guys went in and like we're like, keep doing it that way. We're going to change it up.
Yeah.
Down the road when we introduce Aya and stuff. I thought was brilliant. I have a couple of questions here from the chat that I want to get to. Green Lantern's podcast is looking for more Larfleeze and mentions that the first ever comic review on his site was for a recent issue of Green Lantern Corps, where you mentioned Larfleeze. Any more fun with Larfleeze? He's kind of living on his island on Oa.
Yeah, I saw that question when it popped up, and I don't know if they heard me, but issue 12, there's going to be some Larfleeze stuff happening. So next issue, yeah.
Great. I want John to be able to move. Okay, let me ask you about John. This is me just guessing.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question for you. Okay.
Yeah.
What's your favorite Lantern to write? Like,
oh man, I mean, John. It's John. It's definitely John. Okay. And I'll give you some context. Like, my dad was a career Marine for 24 years.
Okay.
So a lot of times when I'm writing John, I hear my dad, and even sometimes guidance on like how to approach a situation like a Marine. I'll reach out to my dad, and that kind of helps me get in the mind space for John. And it just helps that like I grew up with him on, Justice League, the animated series and all that. So yeah, John.
Do you have you, I mean, it's so like, what is it like being a fan of a character?
Yeah.
And then being able to control that character, like for reals in canon.
It's insane.
Like, what is that?
It's insane.
Do you find it hard that you're like, oh, now I have this responsibility to tell this?
No, weirdly, I don't. But I think that word you used is perfect. Like, it does feel like a responsibility. So it feels natural because of that. I'm just like, I need to rise to this responsibility. Like, this is my duty now. Like, in a weird way, it doesn't feel hard to do. I'm glad it doesn't, because that would be crippling on top of everything else. It feels great. It feels like an honor, honestly, to be able to kind of be a wrinkle in the tapestry of this character's, history. And to answer that comment from earlier that came up about John being able to move on, I feel the same way. I read War Journal, and again, I was very compelled by the decisions that John made in that book, and I'm like, that's weird that he made those decisions. But also, as a writer, I'm a character first guy, right? It puts John in such a particular predicament to get himself out of, and that's why I have most of my fun when it comes to writing. So, absolutely, like me and Jeremy, up until issue 9, and then me now forward, like that is my primary goal with John, is to slowly but surely get him out of this funk that he's been in. I think it's important. I do think it's important to see our heroes make mistakes. Like, they're not perfect. They shouldn't be perfect. Life isn't perfect. So that's why I think I was so compelled by him doing I put my dead mom in my ring. I made a construct of my dead sister. Like, those are things that, like, you need to be in therapy, bro. Like, this is crazy. But like, let's work through these things and get over them, overcome them, and become, a better person at the end. Because if we can see a superhero do that, then we can do that. You know what I mean?
Right. So for me, by the time I finished War Journal, I took it as John's ring just had the voice of his mom. Like, the way you're able to change your series voice, it just sounded like his mom.
Yeah.
But with Starbreaker Supremacy and all the Lantern rings going like kaput,
yeah,
and then his ring was like one of the only ones still going. Is it like her actual soul is in the ring?
I think the way I look at it is it's a very similar situation to Ellie. Okay. Like, it is a manifestation of her created by him. Because I think that John said, like, when he lost his emotion, he was like, "You're not my mother. You're the energy that I imbued into this ring in her image," or whatever. But again, going back to philosophy, I'm a philosophy guy. Like, at the end of the day, does that matter? Like, if it's presenting as your mom, sounds like your mom, has whatever memories you have with her, like, for a lot of intents and purposes, for certain people, or a matter of perspective, like, that's your mom, and that's very compelling to me.
Here's a question from Liz that I'm pretty interested in. I have some friends who do some work. They do work for some Marvel projects and some Star Wars projects and some DC projects.
Yeah.
And I wonder this as well. Are you scared of making people mad by accident?
Oh, I mean, yeah.
Like,
yes.
Do you get anxious about, like, okay, this is something that I'm going to introduce into this lore that's been around for, like, I don't know, like 70 years or something?
Yeah. Like, I think, like, I didn't feel that way until I was on this book, because this is the biggest book I've ever been on.
Right.
Everything I've done have been like issue miniseries, mainly low stakes. Green Lantern, that these fans are passionate, which is great. But yes, I think there is a lot of that in it. But at the end of the day, I think what I learned pretty early on was, like, you can't make everyone happy. And all you can do is tell the best story you want to tell. And at the end of the day, some people are going to rock with it. Some people are not. I remember, I'll give you a little bit of an insider on this. The first 3 issues we did, or I'll say issue 2 and issue 3 of GLC, we had a lot of backlash online about some Thanagarian stuff going on with John and Hawkwoman. And there was a section of fans. I didn't know people like really were Thanagarian fans like this, but they were, like, really mad that we were kind of teasing that there was some history between John and Shiera, kind of like from the Justice League animated show, because she's with Carter Hall. And we weren't even saying outright that they were gonna be doing anything. It was just teasing that there was a past there, and a lot of people got really upset about that. And that was my first time dealing with that. I was like, this is a lot, but that's kind of when I learned the lesson. It was just like, you cannot make everybody happy. Someone is always going to be mad about something. As long as you're well acquainted with your work, like, that's all that matters.
Did it rattle you to the point where you kind of are a little more careful when you're writing?
No, not me anyway. No, because from my perspective, I've got the character's best interest at heart. Like, at least my perspective of the characters. So in my mind, I'm never going to lead them astray. But again, everyone has different perspectives. But it hasn't given me any trepidation, if that's what you're asking.
has working on this for the last couple of years or so, maybe a year. Has it made you like a different fan? Are you like becoming more a fan of these characters? Are you kind of like, now these characters are just a job and I don't maybe, like them as much? What is like, how has your perspective changed since starting the book?
Every character that I write, and this is every book, I feel like they're my friends, right? Mm-hmm. And I think that approaching it in that way helps me get into their headspace, helps me make their decisions, helps me hold them accountable. And because of that, like, I hold them even closer to my chest than I did before. Like, these are my homies, you know what I mean? And working on this book in particular, like, obviously coming in, I was a big John fan, but I've become a big Simon Bass fan, or a bigger Simon Bass fan. And I know you don't like Kelly as much, but like, I've actually become a really big Kelly fan writing.
You're working. You guys are helping. You're making a case.
Okay.
I'm getting there. Like, all the stuff with the gauntlet and the fact that, like, it wasn't tied to the main power battery and stuff. And it was basically one of the only things still around when they all exploded and stuff. It really gave me a purpose. Also, I know some Green Lantern fans are like, of course it's Krona. Like, Krona always rears his head around. And for me, I was like, it was sort of tying in the old with the new and making, given an old fan like me, like, giving that gauntlet and her story, more importance. Yeah. And so for me, it's helping. Like, keep doing what you're doing. Don't worry, because I say it on the show a lot. Somewhere out there's some kid that started reading Green Lantern when they were like 12, and it was Jeffrey Thorne's run. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there are fans out there. I was in high school when Kyle first came around. Mm-hmm. I'm a massive Kyle fan, and I know that there's fans out there who are older than me of Green Lantern that are just like, oh, Kyle. And, I feel like they still treat Kyle like he's new. Mm-hmm. And Kyle has been around for 30 years? We're coming up on, like on 30 years, like, as of like recently. Mm-hmm. And so for me, it's like, I shouldn't shit on these new characters because, people did that to me with Kyle. And I'm sure people did that with John and Guy. And I mean, everybody shits on Guy, but he deserves it. It's just one of those things where just like, don't worry about me. Do what you're doing, because it's working. It's helping me be more like into these characters. I've never really thought of this. Comic characters don't usually age. When I first started reading Hal, he was older. Yeah. Can you start aging up some of these characters? Does Ellie even age?
Yeah.
How does that work?
The short answer is no. I would like to, but like, I think the thing about comics is like, it's supposed to be this perpetual agelessness. Like, the really only aged up character we got that felt natural, I feel like, in all of DC continuity is probably Nightwing. It's done like some sci-fi stuff, like, oh, they aged them up because they went to the future and they came back and now they're older. Like, we don't get to see that as much as we probably should. Because it would be cool, because it would make it feel more organic to have newer characters every now and again. I think I'll tell you something we tried to do with Kelly is in that issue, that mini arc, issue 4 and 5, when they go to Necrocopia and it's her birthday. We had that joke in there that she was turning 13, but they wouldn't let us do it. They were like, she can turn 12, not 13. And we're like, why? And it's like, well, because she's only been around since like 2019. So that wouldn't make sense that she would actually age up to real life years. So,
but she's known as Teen Lantern.
That's kind of the joke, but yeah.
God, I had something. I lost it. I should have jotted it down. Liz just says Razor ? I don't know what the question is, but I'm all for Razor.
Yes.
I'm all for Razor. Razor's fun. There's some gaps in there where he's a Green Lantern. The last time we saw him, last time we saw him on the animated series, he was red and a blue lantern ring was following him. Mm-hmm. And then in Young Justice, there was an episode with him where he had red and blue. Mm-hmm. And in this, he's introduced as green. And then he reverts back to red recently.
Yeah.
Is there an end game with Razor as far as where he's going to land on the spectrum?
I think he's going to be red, at least for the foreseeable future. I think a lot of that was Jeremy, because Jeremy was writing on the Green Lantern animated series, and he wrote a bit on Young Justice too. So I think it was him kind of paying off, like when he integrated him into the books, he brought him in as a green. That was during the United Planets Lanterns thing.
Right.
So it's just kind of been a slow tease of getting him back to red. But like when we had that discussion, same thing with Ellie, going back to like, I'm going to make her a Blue Lantern. That seemed like a no-brainer. Like when we were like, we're going to fill out the rest of these cores on Oa, it was like no question that he was going to be red. So I think that's just kind of a return to the mean type of thing.
I kind of like it because in the animated series, he was able to control his rage.
Yeah.
And when you have like these all the spectrum all in one place, it's probably good to have someone a little bit more rational on the Reds, as opposed to like an Atrocitus who I believe will never ever have any sort of heart of gold or anything like that.
Yeah.
And probably rightfully so. So I think it is good that he's red, because you do need someone at that conference room where that's gonna like be able to sit there rationally and have a discussion with the likes of like Sinestro and, you know.
Totally agree.
And then I think the only person we failed to mention is Jessica, who I absolutely adore. Again, sort of a newer character in the grand scheme of things, but my third favorite Green Lantern. I really like Jessica. Sam Humphrey's run. I talk about it all the time with his run on, it was a Green Lanterns with Jessica and Simon. Yeah. You have her right now sort of playing like I don't even know, like a prime minister or something, or the head of.
We call her the core leader Cruz.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is she going to see more action?
Get
out of
absolutely.
The office?
Absolutely.
Yeah, because it's one of the things. The first thing I thought was when she got that role, I was like, man, she spent 3 years alone in her house without leaving, and now she's reverted back to that. I really appreciated the issue where Joe brings it up and kind of brings her out of her shell, and they go out on a quick mission. I really enjoyed that. I really like the inclusion of Joe into the fold. I love Far Sector. I like Far Sector. I think it's a perfect book on its own. Is bringing Joe in kind of tough to do?
Not so much. I think we kind of approached when we started with the first issue is like nothing really is. I guess the only thing that was new is that the core was back after the United Planets Lanterns thing, but it wasn't so much of like Joe is a newer Lantern around the rest of the Green Lanterns. It's like we've known Joe for so long. Like we're just approaching it as like it's a day in the life type of a thing. I'm not exactly sure what the gap is between her doing Far Sector and joining the rest. I know she was in Thorne's run a little bit, but even that felt like she had been around, you know?
Right.
So it's not too difficult. The only difficult thing is just like, how do I divvy up the time for all these characters to have a little bit of a spotlight?
So, I mean, I don't know if this is just these two characters. I don't know where to see these two characters going, but Joe and Guy seem to be hanging out a lot. Guy seems to respect her more than he respects some other lanterns, like especially like Narf. But they definitely have something going on. I don't know if you're setting up like a partnership between them to go out and like bust heads, or if it's romantic. I don't know. But you clearly have something cooking between those two. I think. Am I reading it wrong?
I will plead the fifth. I won't say anything.
Okay, perfect. Okay. There's one Green Lantern we haven't brought up. This lantern's usually over at Green Lantern. Highball brings it up. What are your thoughts on Hal Jordan?
It's the originator. Well, I guess Alan Scott is the originator, but
Alan
like,
Scott.
I mean, he's the reason we're all here. If we're being honest, like, Hal didn't have the run he had from the 60s, 70s, and 80s before they gave Kyle a book. Like, we would not be here having this discussion right now. So yeah, I mean, Hal's great.
I love Hal. He's my second favorite Lantern after Kyle. And it's one of those things he was the first Lantern that I was introduced to both in comics and on Super Friends. Growing up. And so like, I love Hal, but it wasn't until like my high school years when I was getting real angsty and I started picking up and started reading Kyle Rayner, where I was like, oh my gosh, I like to draw. This guy likes to draw. I have black hair. He has black hair. I used to have black hair. He felt so close to who I was. And I never really identified with Hal Jordan. Like, I never identified with Han Solo. I identified with Luke Skywalker, a dorky kid, like, who spent his days daydreaming. And so for me, like, Hal, as much as I love him, I'd never really... it's hard to phrase this, but I find him less interesting than some of the other characters. We all know who Hal is. He's been the solid rock since Showcase 22 as he's a fighter pilot. He's able to overcome great fear. These are both things that I'm not. Like, I'm not a test pilot. I'm not. I do all kinds of stuff. And he's so sure of himself, and he's able to jump into any situation head first without thinking about it. And that's great for the character. But for me, it's super hard to identify with him. So, and I know, like, people might say, like, I mean, especially Highball here, who's clearly a Hal Jordan fan.
That is Hal Jordan.
it's a picture of Hal Jordan. He's Highball. And you want to hear something? You want to hear how nerdy I am? I when I go to bars and stuff, which I don't do, when I order drinks, I usually just get a 7 and 7 because I know it's a drink and it's, whatever. I found out recently that a 7 and 7 is fairly close to a highball. And so I've been ordering highballs just because of Green Lantern. So now when I go get drinks, I'll order a highball. And the bartender's usually like, what is that? I don't know what that is. And I think it's like whiskey and ginger ale. I think that's what it is. But it's one of those things where I'm just like, I'm such a freaking dork. And I love all the Green Lanterns. And you're helping me fall in love with 2 more.
I'm happy.
With Ellie and Kelly. So keep it up. Before I let you go, I just have one more question. Do you have a dream book? Something that you would love to like write for either DC, Marvel, or just your own or indie publish or
Static. DC. Yeah, I would love to write Static. I've been slowly manifesting that for years. I don't know if it'll ever happen, but that's my dream. Like, in a weird way, like, Cyborg was my favorite character, and I got a crazy opportunity to do that as my first book. And I've always been a big Green Lantern fan as well. But Static, I think, was really the character growing up that got me really, really, really into comic books. Once I realized, like, because I was, again, going back to like my age at the time, I was watching the TV show. I didn't know a Static comic book. I didn't know what Milestone was. But after, like, I got a little bit older and wanted to dig more into it, and I went back and discovered Milestone and just what those guys did, Dwayne McDuffie, Dennis Cowan, and them. I don't know. I just set myself on a path where, like, at some point in time in my life, that's a character I have to write.
Yeah, thinking about sneaking him in GLC?
Oh man, if I could, it's weird. Like there's weird. How do I put it? Like, I guess I can talk about it a little bit. But traditionally, Milestone is not in the same universe as DC.
Right.
Right. It depends on what iteration you're looking at. In the comics, they were not, and then they kind of were, and then they weren't again. On Young Justice, as you can see, they are. Static is there. Mm-hmm. In that version of the Outsiders on the show. In the Static animated series, he's part of the same universe as the Justice League animated series. So, like, it depends. But in the comics, they haven't been for some time. And it's December now. So in about 2 months, there's a book that I'm actually a part of called New History of the DCU. Dakota Incident, that is kind of reintroducing them into DC proper. So they are kind of back now. That's all I can really say about that. But who knows what that means for down the road in the Milestone characters. So as of right now, no, I could not put him in Green Lantern Corps. But in a couple years, who knows?
Yeah. Liz agrees. More Static.
Absolutely.
Okay. I'm gonna let you go here in a second. If you have anything to say, anything to plug, anything you want to promote, or just offhand mention, go for it.
I was creative. I guess was New History of the DCU, the Dakota Incident that comes out February 28th. As I mentioned a minute ago, it's kind of reintroducing Milestone characters. It's a book that is what we're calling a forgotten moment in DC history. It kind of explains why these characters haven't been around in a while. It was a dream come true to work on a project like that, and I hope you guys dig it. Pre-orders are up now. I guess I'd say pre-order issue 12 of Green Lantern Corps. That one's going to be a lot of fun. I had so much fun writing that issue. I can't wait for you guys to read it. And I forget who brought up Larfleeze, but that's the one.
It was
That's the one. That's the issue.
Yeah. Well, I got to tell you, I've been enjoying your work. I should probably go read your Cyborg and your Star Trek. What era of Star Trek did you write?
It's Star Trek is complicated. So in the comics right now,
Kelvin?
No, it's the main universe. In the comics right now, for the past couple years, in the main Star Trek book, they have been operating within the 3-year period between, I think it's, what are the last 2 Star Trek movies with the Next Generation cast? Is it Insurrection and
Insurrection,
and what's after that? Whatever it is, or what's before that?
Nemesis.
So it's the 3-year period between Nemesis and Insurrection. Is what Paramount is letting them operate with impunity. So it's in between that. And in the main Star Trek book, Sisko is back from the wormhole. And in my book, essentially, it's called Sons of Star Trek, and it has Jake Sisko. It's got Alexander Worf's son. It's got Nog, and then it's got Q Jr. Q has a son, and it's basically them dealing with being the most important people in the galaxy's children, and how do you reconcile with your existential angst when you're literally in space.
I might check that out.
It's a lot of fun. I had a good time. I'm a big Deep Space Nine fan, so if you like Deep Space Nine, I think you'll like the book. I kind of approached it as being like an episode of the show, essentially.
I've come to Star Trek late in my life. I think it was during lockdown. I finally made it through the original series. When I was in high school, that's when Voyager came out, and Deep Space Nine. And so I watched some of those. It was before DVRs. So I kind of I know the characters, but I'm interested in checking those out. I think the most recent Star Trek stuff that I've dealt with was the Green Lantern crossover.
Gotcha.
So it's been a while. Yeah. Thank you for joining me. I want to thank everybody in the chat for coming by, and anybody who missed the live stream, leave some comments down below. Morgan, thank you again. Stick around for after the credit roll so I can say goodbye proper after that's done and we're done going live. And thank everybody for joining, and until next time, beware my podcast. It's Lanterns Live. Bye.